Chris Edmonds Radio. We are back with little Dave, just him and I today, and we have an incredible topic for you guys. And I thought I had no opening topic, but the opening topic is you pressed the 180s on dumbbells today.
Yep. Yeah, I did.
That's the big news.
Right. Yeah. Got it for 7. So honestly, if I can get 8 more reps on that, it means 200s are coming.
Yeah, and your gym at the top, your gym has is 200.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is if I use the 200s, Bronson will buy more.
Oh, hell yeah. You have to knock
He'll be
the
like, God damn it, David.
Have you seen anybody throw those around?
I've seen them be used for rows.
Oh, right. Yeah, which is way different than pressing.
I've yet to see anybody press them. So
That's stupid. I was trying to think when you said those. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody shoulder press 180s. I think I saw Ian once press 175s,
yeah.
and I think I can't remember if Nick Walker pressed the 200s or 180s for sure.
I think Nick Walker did the 200s.
Okay.
Like James and Ronnie Coleman definitely have.
Yeah, and I think Luke and James video with them doing flat.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Luke was doing the 100 kilos. So he was doing the 220s. Which is it's just wild. Dude, those things are I think the craziest part about that set is just leaning back with them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it's almost like, well, that's 300 and something pounds, right? What I'm just leaning back with.
Plus your body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. Just the normal person trying to load one of those onto your quads if you don't deadlift them. Like, what? No, fuck you.
Right. Well, that's how you got to do it. Like, you got to pick them up, put them on your quads, and then lean back.
Right.
There's no way in hell you're holding them.
Don't it in Gold's Venice they have that Gold 300 or maybe it's 330?
I think they're 330.
Okay. Yeah. I can't remember what YouTube celebrity I saw out there trying to like fuck around with it. It wasn't pretty. Yeah, I mean that's just silly. Maybe if like Brian Shaw or one of those dudes like set back with it, they could throw it around, I'm sure. But in the bodybuilding world, that's just crazy.
I think it was Dan Efferding at the Animal Cage in Columbus.
Okay.
I think he did 250 on incline dumbbell.
Good Lord.
Which is just wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has a pretty funny story about that because I'm pretty sure I saw this in a podcast. He was talking about it, but someone mixed them up like a pre-workout before that, and they put in like 4 scoops of, and he didn't know what it was, and he drank it, and he's just like cracked out, and he's like, the whole time he was pressing, he was like, "I'm trying not to die," because his blood pressure was through the roof.
Like taking 4 Anadrol.
Yeah.
Why is my nose bleeding? I don't know. Probably the 1,000 mgs of caffeine you just took down.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right. So, I mean, I think you and I were talking like, if the 200s are up, it's impossible with the control you possess over dumbbell press that's not going to be bigger.
Yeah.
Meaning chest. Like, and to me, like, not only your chest, but like chest, shoulders, triceps, there's no way that whole area doesn't grow. That's the video I just posted on YouTube today where I was talking about like the transition portion of a rep. So it's like that bottom third, the very bottom, and then the bottom third out of that hole, like not missing that with heavy weight, to me is what puts muscle on. And I mean, I know everyone always, all the smart people in the room will say, "Oh, Chris, it's the negative that causes the muscle growth, the damage or whatever." But to me, it's like, if you can control that weight down, own that shit out of the hole and not stretch reflex it up, that's what puts on muscle.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking about the chest of going down and then coming back up. So that's 6 inches down and up. Like that to me, that if you can move heavy load in that range and own it, like that's what's going to make your chest bigger. And I mean, to me, what I think a lot of people at this point don't realize is, for a lot of probably the first 4 or 5 years you were with me, your chest was probably one of your worst body parts.
Mm-hmm.
So for education purposes, what would you attribute that to? Learning how to press better or just naturally getting stronger?
Both of them came together at the same time.
Right.
Like form got standardized way early.
Right.
And then as soon so that's an aspect that just didn't change.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just didn't refuse to let up on the gas on that. Yep. I think when we first started, I was consistently doing the hundreds.
Right. Yep.
And then 2 years ago, I was consistently doing the 150s.
Yep.
And now I'm starting to move into the 180s.
Yep.
It's just the time progression, right? And if I'm doing the same weight in the same amount of form,
yep.
Right, but I'm adding weight for the same amount of reps,
right,
there's zero chance I'm not getting bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's really hard for a hard concept, right? Is especially when people are so like linearly progressive when they look at progressive overload because they're impatient with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was when we started filming this podcast, or maybe it was when you and I were in person, you were like, man, I've been pressing these 150s for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And it hasn't went anywhere. I've just gotten better at it. Where I think now everyone's like, oh, if you stall on a lift for 3 weeks, get that shit out of there. And as you know better than anyone, those 150s, the way when you were pressing them and pressing them well, and each week, each year, you got a little bit better at it. I don't believe that was a wasted exercise or time because you weren't moving north on reps for the most part. I'm sure some days you would get 2 or 3 more. Some days you might get 2 or 3 less, depending upon where it was placed or, how you had the day before or whatever. But so many people would view that as like a waste of time. And it's
100%.
It's just not.
And it's the connection what I've gotten with it.
Right.
Because when you first start pressing, most of the time you're gonna have a connection from here to here. Yep. Right. And then if you can get that better from here to here, and then all the way from here to here, right? Yep. Your form didn't change. It's just where your brain starts kicking in. And that's going to be better on some people than others, right? I mean, that's why we've talked about it. That's why your shoulders grow better than your back. Your brain's connected to it better.
Yep.
And that happens naturally, but there's also the forced connections of repeating something. Yep. Right? That's just doing something until your brain's like, oh, we're used to this. And that's all bodybuilding is. Like, we are what we do.
Yep.
Right? So over time, my chest is gonna show that what I'm consistently picking up 150 plus pounds and repping it on an incline.
Yep.
Like, it's gonna show that over time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fucking simple, but
it's a pretty cool progression. I think that when they touch new weight, like that first month or so of you hitting consistently new dumbbells on a press, your elbows, shoulders, everything, wrists feel a little shaky. It feels like your nervous system is like just going bananas. Yeah. And then next thing you know, like how many weeks or months does that take to completely rid itself? Like when your elbows stop shaking on that first kickback and press up, when you're like holding it here before you're rolling, like no one ever takes all of that into account. Like when you just comfortably sit back in 150s and you suddenly like, I don't need a spot today. I don't need someone to kick them up to me. I don't need someone to hand them to me in a lockout position. Like all those little, like, to me, what I would view as a micro progression, if I'm using their words, because I mean, listen, I think there's always a time when you're touching new weight where you're scared of it, or you're like, man, I really got to lock in, to where, oh, the 150s are part of my workout now. Like it's just part of it. It's no different than when you put another plate on a leg press or a squat or a hack squat. Like suddenly, if 6 plates on a hack squat is an easy 15, or not necessarily an easy 15, but you're getting 15, you don't think about 6 plates anymore. Like you're like, 6 plates, easy. Feet are set now, just filling it. And I think, like, sadly, that's missed in our world, because it's always like, oh, I need to jump to the next exercise so I can restart my progression with it. Well, maybe what if you just rode that shit out? Because remember, we're bodybuilding. If you do the 150s and your chest is like massively pumped by the end, to me, that's a win. So I moved heavy ass weights, I got a pump, and I didn't get injured. Those 3 things are wins to me.
Right. Also, you touched on it earlier, but also front delt, triceps, like those need to grow anyways. Like people lose their fucking mind on compound exercises, but like, cool. If I did an extra set for triceps with this, instead of having to do it on arm day, right? I'm getting an extra set for triceps.
Yep.
That's a positive. That's not a negative.
Yep.
Like arms can never be too big. It's not an issue.
Right. I was at a seminar with John once, and someone raised their hand and tried to ask a really smart question, right? And the guy said, I know I've done a bunch of your programs. I notice you're a huge fan of the incline barbell press. Do you know a majority of that is your front delt as opposed to your chest? And he's like, yeah. And the guy goes, why would you program that for a chest? And he goes, you know what looks really cool is when your like upper chest and front delt are so massive, it creates a shelf, right? And he's like, yeah. And he said, that's what the incline barbell does to me. And the guy like couldn't comprehend it that an exercise technically for chest can actually build another muscle and you'd be happy about it, right? What do you mean? Because we're in this world of like hyper isolation, right? Like I don't want to just train the lat. I got to train the lower third of the lower lat, like stop it.
Oh yeah.
Stop it. Like, even though I will say, hey, you can definitely train your upper chest, or I think you can train the middle portion or lower portion, or you can bias it, I guess technically is a better way to say that. Who gives a fuck if you get big triceps as a byproduct of pressing heavy dumbbells? So hold on, my triceps grow, my front delt grows, and my chest grows? Awesome. I just got 3 for 1 in my opinion. Like that's a fucking steal.
Yep. Also, any exercise like that's going to have a huge opportunity to get better.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to run out of weight on an incline barbell.
Right.
Yeah. But if I do, it's because the gym doesn't have enough 45.
Right.
You can put 9 on. You can put 9 plates on those motherfuckers. If you're doing that, you're fucking superhuman. No one's doing that, right? So pretty much endless weight. Versus like, oh cool, we're gonna super biasy and we're gonna, do this inclined cable flies. Like that stack weighs 45 pounds in reality.
Yep.
You're gonna run out of weight really fucking fast.
I will always go back to this, right? Everyone, because they're obsessed with that sideways hammer strength incline chest press. Yep. The most I've ever seen someone doing that is 2 plates.
Yep.
Which for a normal male above 180 is a warm-up. I'm sorry, it just is. Like, if it isn't, you need to get stronger. End of story. Because it's 2 plates on the incline hammer strength is light. I will always say that's a light. Most people start there, right? Or you take the same kid and put him on an incline barbell and say, get to 3 plates. And I'd like to see which person looks bigger and thicker at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The person who can hyper isolate that sideways hammer strength chest press, or the guy who just tries to get 3 plates for a set of 6 to 8 with perfect form on an incline barbell, or the 150s, or let's say 100-pound dumbbells for perfect reps on an incline. Yeah. And I think that that's so hard for this new generation of kids to realize, where I think when you and I started, you were told to get strong as fuck on barbell and dumbbell movements, and the cable machine stuff was just a pump at the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't understand how we've actually switched that thought process and, oh, well, those mass multi-joint movements are less irrelevant, but if you can hyper isolate a muscle, it's going to grow faster and bigger. I don't see it.
Yeah.
All those people that are
it's all coming down to looking for the easy road.
Right.
That's what I mean. A lot of that I always get my bikini girls I coach. Mm-hmm. A lot of them will come to me and their training is going to be super fluffy. Why is that? Because they're taking what they're seeing from professional bikini girls, and they don't realize what those girls are doing different things than what they did to build their muscle.
Correct.
Once they get to a certain muscle, the bikinis, that you don't see it in bodybuilding as much, but bikini and some of the other places, right? Once you build muscle, maintaining it's a different story.
Right.
And for bikini, once you can build up to your maximum potential of muscle relatively fast. Yep. And then your job is to maintain it and make it look fucking good.
Right.
Right. That's where bikini is difficult, right? I honestly think bikini is harder than bodybuilding because there's so many fucking rules.
Yeah.
Like my job is just to be big fucking nasty. Mm-hmm. Right. Pretty much that's it. Blanket statement. Bikini, you have to have your hair done. I don't even know how to do that. But like I was saying, they all look to what these professionals are doing, and they're like, "Oh, she's doing this cable kickback at this angle, and then she's doing the booty bands or whatever." It's like she's doing that to isolate muscles she already has,
Yep.
so she can exaggerate them.
Yes.
She did not build muscles that way. You're missing out on all of the heavy hinging motions she's done, the heavy presses, the squats,
Yeah.
the lunges, what fucking built that muscle, and now she's just holding on to it. There's a huge difference between maintaining and building.
Yeah.
And that you can see it in bikini because once they build that much muscle, all they have to do is maintain it. Their goal is not to be mass monsters. They're not consecutively building muscle every year.
No.
You know, so things change. But if you're not there yet and you want to build muscle, it's the other side of the coin, and it should be really fucking easy to see. Like, why are all the bodybuilders doing heavy compound movements all year?
Yeah.
Right. That never changes.
Yeah. Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like, you see some kind of detail. Like Charles Glass has some great things for detail, but like bringing up that particular spot on your rear delt is not how you just build that muscle.
No, no, that's for Dexter Jackson 20 years into his career.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you see it too when you go to like a more commercial gym where these trainers are having these women do like 40-pound, like easy bar fix, like glute bridge. And and then they're like, they do that and they immediately throw it on their back and they're doing squats with it. And I'm like, want to go over and just shake that trainer and be like, stop it. That is, she may as well do fucking air. Like, go put a bar on her lap or on her back or in her hands and make her get strong at it, damn it. Like, she's not a delicate princess. Like, women can be trained like psychotic. And honestly, I mean, listen, you know this as well as me. They can go to places that most men can't. I'm not talking about the like next level guys who want to be pros or just mentally unhinged, like maybe you and I are. But most women can go to that level that 99% of men can't even look at or think. And yet you train them like they're gonna break when a barbell goes on their back. Like I've had women go from making incredible and strength gains and putting on muscle tissue that would blow people's minds because I wasn't scared to train them hard.
Yeah.
Like
we're not made out of glass.
No. And you know, the way I've always thought about it, right, is like, Chris, like, how do you train women different? Here's the secret, right? We do very little direct chest work. I give them no upper trap work. And depending upon your division, is how much arm stuff we do. It's as easy as that. If it's a bikini girl, I'm going to blow out her delts, her upper lats, and her ass. End of story. If it's a figure girl, it's going to be X frame. Got to be massive shoulders. Got to be tapered wide back. It's got to be thick and dense. Quads, hamstrings, glutes have to be on point. If it's women's physique, I'm training them like a fucking dude. And if it's women's bodybuilding, it's no different than what you and I do. End of story. Like, I just gave you all the answers. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I left out wellness. Sorry. Wellness. I'm going to probably do 3 days a week of lower body. It's all going to be like, one's going to be a glute day, quad day, hamstring adductor, and they're going to have an upper body double day. And that's 5 days a week. Done. Easy. I just gave you the fucking split. Shocker.
Yeah. Oh, no joke. Oh, and those wellness girls are definitely going to be doing heavy fucking weight.
Yes. Yes.
That's my favorite thing seen in the gym. People are like, oh, I'm going to do wellness. And then they continue to do air squats. It was like, you're not going to have fucking horse legs doing air squats.
No.
Like, go look at any of the open women's wellness in the pro divisions.
Yep.
They're fucking freaks.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I mean, that level of development takes a level of pain tolerance that, again, most can't comprehend. And they're training legs probably 2 to 3 times a week, which, dear God, more power to you. If you can gear up mentally for 3 times a week for lower body and push like they do and move that weight. And God, I mean, I've seen some women do like 6-plate glute bridge, and I'm like, good Lord, those are good reps too. Like, pulling sumo like 3 or 4 plates. I mean, it's wild to me.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready to start the topic? I think we're adequately warmed
Yep.
up.
We're definitely warm.
It's really interesting. We start out talking about you pressing the 180 on dumbbell, and somehow we got talking about how to train women's wellness. So
It's the natural progression of things.
right.
Us, as soon as we talk about training, we're gonna talk about training legs.
Yes, 100%. Without a doubt. All right. So what I thought we would do here, and I guess it depends on what kind of lens you want to look at this through. So if you're a coach, like don't be one of these dirtbags. But if you're a client or an athlete or someone looking to hire a coach, these are just some red flags that are just so apparent, or at least to Dave and I, that may not be to other people. And this just comes down to just straight education. And then again, not being a dirtbag, as you'll see some of the things we have listed here. So to me, the one I'm going to start with is it's just that crazy gimmicky marketing shit. And if you're
3 spots left.
yes, I have
They're
3
going
spots.
fast.
Right. I'm looking for 5 guys. DM me dad bod and I'll get you started today. Listen, all that is a fucking scam. Like they don't have clients. They don't. Look at anybody who you value in the coaching community and see if they market. Do you see Chris Aceto talking about any marketing, or Hani or Chad Nichols? Do you ever see John market any training, like coaching services? Fuck no. There's a reason I don't. You know what marketing is? I post one of your photos. That's how.
Pretty simple. This person came to me looking like this. They left, still working with me looking like this.
Right.
This was 6 months, right?
Yep. I've always believed this too, right? Word of mouth for my coaching business will sell itself. If I do what I'm supposed to do for you and every one of my other clients, I don't need to market. And I know some super smart business person will come by and say, Chris, like you're leaving so much money on the table. And they may be right. But here's the great thing about my coaching business is at this point of my career, people who come to me to work with me know what I expect based upon what I post. Or like if someone came up to you and said, Dave, what's it like working with Chris? They're going to walk away knowing either, hey, I want to try that, or I want no part of that shit. It's as simple as that. So when one of my clients gives me a referral, the person coming to me usually already knows, like, you're going to get the fucking line. You're going to work your ass off. I'm going to expect a lot of you, but I promise if you do that, great things will happen. In fact.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like the easiest concept. You get in what you get out, right? If you go into any coach, it doesn't matter who they are, what kind of wizardry you think they do behind, they're only going to work as much as you do. Right? If your check-in's on Tuesday, and you send it at 2 p.m., right? These are fasted check-ins. Why the fuck would you be taking those at 2 p.m. unless you work a shift job? Right? That coach should know about. Right? If he doesn't know that, and you're just checking in with him, like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Communication. Huge. That goes on both sides. But your coach isn't going to be able to make effective decisions if you don't tell him what's going on. Like imagine trying to troubleshoot, like if my dog over here came to me for coaching advice and I can't fucking talk to him and he doesn't speak the same language as me. How's it gonna work? If other than me feeding him and taking him to the gym by him with me is the only way that's gonna happen.
There's like a trust rapport there, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'll always go back to when people ask me why you're successful. And I'll just give an example of what happened to you this past week, right? You said, Chris, like, man, my fucking digestion is just bogged down. I had my free meal. It didn't sit right. And I think we should fast tomorrow and do an off day the following. I said, okay, cool. Let's do that. Monitor it. I stayed in contact with you. I said, hey, if I have to pull back your food on Tuesday, we will do it. I won't care. You woke up on Monday, felt better. Woke up on Tuesday, you were hungry and ready to train. It's as simple as that. You could have easily either ignored all of that info and not shared it with me, or you could have came to me and said, "Hey, Chris, here's X, Y, and Z," and I could have been like, "God, I cannot tell you how many dirtbag fucking trainers I've heard or coaches do this. Quit being a pussy and eat your fucking meals."
Yeah.
First of all, I know you're never going to choose the easy route with me. So
Mm-hmm.
I erase that from my mind. I don't think it's a matter of mental weakness. It's a matter of, hey, my body is giving me this signal. We should listen. Okay, cool. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's you telling me, like, hey, something's going on. And I said, we proposed what, 3 or 4 scenarios. I'm like, did you eat bad food? Are you getting sick? Did you not sleep well? What's your stress like? Like, we went through all these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, was your body's like, hey, fuck you, give us a break, asshole. And you're like, yeah, I think that's it. Okay, cool. Let's give it a break.
Yeah, exactly. It was a matter of troubleshooting and communication there.
Oh,
You know, like if I didn't say anything and I was just kept force feeding,
yep.
I'm going to get myself SIBO.
Yes.
And then we get to deal with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And then if I don't tell you about that, it's going to get to the point where you're like, why are you checking in your quarter turns looks like your stomach's a basketball. You're like, how's that? Like, oh, I'm shitting blood.
Mhm.
You know, like, that you should have said something 4 months ago.
Right. Because I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, I'm not going to tell my coach. I'll go take some GHRP6 and that'll make me hungry. And then I'll still get my meals down. So I don't want to sound weak. But there's a difference between being weak, in my mind at least, and your body saying like, yo, we need to pump the brakes for just a bit.
Yeah.
We step back for 2 days and then we're right back at normal. Like, so just slight pull. It's almost like, I will always think about that analogy, like one small step backwards to make a giant jump forward. And then today you're pressing the 180s, as opposed to we could have kept ramming your nutrition and your training would have been dog shit until we fixed it.
Yeah.
You know, all these really good pros talk about the digestion and how it's fucked up and they back out of shows or they have a descended stomach and they ignore that stuff. They wonder why they run into long-term issues. You know, like hey, if we just would have addressed the issue when it arose the first time and not just blankly covered our face and said, fuck it. So listen, you and I both could get meals down even if we didn't want to.
Oh yeah. And I think that's what's another base what's covered, right? Is like we obviously both know what being uncomfortable feels like.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between uncomfortable and unnecessary.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and that's the line you kind of need to be for either weight loss or muscle gain. There's going to be a level of uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean like dieting. That doesn't mean sitting with a 50 blood glucose and being hypo the entire fucking day.
Yep.
Right. Or the opposite of the end, like we said, like if your digestion's just legitimately shutting down because everything's just backing up, right? Because you have too much food. Yep. Like that's a pretty easy fix. Like, okay, cool. Let's, like exactly what we did. Let's take a day off from food and see what happens.
Yep.
Fucking worked. If that didn't work, could have taken a day off and lowered food.
Yep.
Over time, that's good. The same outcome is going to be there.
Yeah. Even if we would have taken an entire week off and with lowered food, if that fixed the issue, 1 week isn't going to kill you. Like you weren't losing muscle in a week. You're just healing your digestive system so we can ram it high again. Or come back at more moderate and then slowly build back to high. Like, I always will tell the story. I had a good buddy, super heavyweight, worked with a very top level coach, trained Olympians because he was going for a pro card. And the dude had him eating 16 ounces of meat and 16 ounces of sweet potato at every meal.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, he started having hiccups all day long. Guess what the coach said? Oh, this is part of the process, bro. You got to get big. You got to be 330. And he said, okay, cool. We kept eating. Next thing you know, his esophagus started to rot. Not normal. Like, he was a big dude. Like, I still to this day, like, I'm like, how in the hell were you getting down there? He's like, dude, I'd throw it up and then have to eat it again. I'm like, no. Something there is missing. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
We must fix it. Mm-hmm. And as I've said to you before, like, I'd rather you eat less food and train hard and rest and recover than continue to stress our body with crazy high food that may get the scale weight going up. But what's going to happen, like, because I'm a constant believer in if your shoulders grow 3 inches, but so do your waist, did you really grow? or you just have a bigger version of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It says bodybuilding, it's an illusion. If I can make you grow this way and your waist stay the same, we are enhancing your look. And then keep doing that. Next thing you know, people are like, oh man, Dave's shape is incredible. No, we just didn't blow his fucking stomach out and he got bigger everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Well, once again, back to the amount of rules in bodybuilding, which is zero.
Right.
Just because it's the off season doesn't mean you need to be slamming cheeseburgers. Like because Ronnie Coleman did it. It's like that worked for him. Let's find what works for you. And we do that by. I know you've done it, right? You're doing things that have worked for you, and you're playing them into my card. Like this works for me. Let's see how they work for you, and then you assess. That's what coaching is, right? Because obviously you're not me, but things tend to work dissimilar.
Yeah,
that's what coaching all is we know how things work, and then we play those cards, and then we assess and keep moving forward. It's not. There's no rule book here. There's just a matter of what have I done before, and how would I apply it to this scenario.
Yep. And that's what I always love about the sport, right? Is I love like fucking around with something, experimenting on myself, and like, okay, cool. Like this is what it did for me. If I give it to you, what is it gonna do? Like, are you gonna have the same response? Are you gonna like it as much as I do? Or are you gonna be like, man, that's not really cool. It doesn't work. But I can give it to someone like you because I know in my heart that you're gonna apply the same level of intensity and respect to it that I took to that same endeavor, right? Where if I had a client who wasn't all in, I couldn't judge that progress.
No.
Because honestly, when I was young as a coach, I thought I was way dumber than I really was because the people weren't following the plan. And I was like, man, this really sucks. Like, how I lowered her carbs by 100 grams and she gained weight. Like, how did that work? Or took her Stairmaster from level 6 to level 8 and she got fatter. Like, how did that happen? And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, wait, no, these people are cheating.
It's just a matter of what they tell you. I've done the same thing. There's sometimes I'm like, am I retarded? Because this should mathematically this makes sense.
Yes.
And then I've done some wild things. Like I had a guy, he checked in, he's like this, and it was just asked backwards of what would normally happen. And I was like, hey, your phone camera works, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool, take a photo of meal 1 through 6 before you eat it, send it to me. Got meal 1, and then meals 2 through 6 did not happen. I sent him a text at like 9 p.m. And I was like, what happened? He's like, I didn't have them. And I was like, this is a Tuesday. You're coming to me wondering why we're not making progress. I tell you right now, it's right here. It's like, and he's like, it's like the fact I had to do that, and you have to tell me you're having 100% plan compliance when obviously 1 out of 6 is terrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you just threw those together, it's just not fucking on plan.
No.
Right? It's not even close.
The greatest example I have of that. So when I worked at a gym, I had a lot of in-person competitors. The lady there, she had incredible shape, man. Like honestly, she could have done something really great in the sport if she could control what went in her mouth. And she came to me for help and said, hey, I've done a couple of shows. It hadn't went well, blah, blah, blah. So I started helping her. At the beginning, it was going great when she was motivated. And then, once it got to crunch time, I was like inside of 6 weeks, it just slammed on the emergency brake. And I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like racking my brain. Like I see her in the gym doing her cardio. I see her training. It's not as hard as I would want, but it's pretty close. And then one day I had to go run some errands and I happened to just park right beside her. And I looked down and had a Jeep. So I could see down in her car and she was smashing a king size Snickers bar and a regular Coke. And I went and I tapped on her window because she didn't see me. And I was like, how many times have you been doing this? And she's like, probably every other day. I was like, okay, cool. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
I thought I was going batshit crazy trying to figure out why I couldn't get this girl to losing more body fat. And I'm like, oh, if you would just told me this, I could have chilled the fuck out. But again, that's the thing is coaches And that's where experience comes in, right? Because now if I was faced with that scenario, I would just be like, hey, how many times do you cheat in a week? I'm not. Okay, you can be honest with me, or this is never going to work. And then it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Where in the beginning, I'm just like, oh, everyone, this is what I thought at least. Anyone who wants to do a show is going to take it as serious as I did. And I was like, man, I got to get up on stage in front of people I don't know in my underwear. I'm going to do everything in my power to be perfect, or as perfect as I can be.
Yeah.
That means everything goes in my mouth is going to be great. Every set I train is going to be to the end. Every second of cardio is done. And I quickly realized that that wasn't very many people.
Yeah. Dude, I look back at like my first prep I ever did with you, and I didn't season my food or use artificial sweeteners because you didn't write it down.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ask you.
Right. Yeah.
So like I kid you not, like if someone offered me a piece of sugar-free gum, I'd be like, nope.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm dieting. Can't have it. It's not on my plan.
Right.
And I really, yeah, you're right on that point, right? No joke. Like when I first started coaching, I assumed everybody was going to be like me in that aspect.
Right.
And it's not even fucking close, dude.
Yeah. No.
Like that. No. If someone offers you a piece of gum, they're probably going to eat it.
Yes. Someone offered you M&M's, but probably going to eat it.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's a very eye-opening right there when it comes to that.
And you know what sucks too is I went through a period of my career of coaching at like competitors where I was like, man, I just don't know if I want to do this anymore because I was running into this. I was at this weird portion of coaching where I was getting people who were a little seasoned, like they weren't all first-time competitors, but they weren't good competitors. And it just led me to this like really negative headspace where I almost assumed that all of them were going to cheat. And I was almost planning for it. Like, you're going to cheat. You're not going to train hard at the end. You're going to fucking blow off cardio. You're not going to do your posing. And I started to get this really jaded outlook on it. And I remember telling Angela, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm cut out for this shit. Like, I'm tired of working with people who just don't give a fuck and or don't care as much as I do. Because to me, when you get on stage and they announce like, oh, their trainer is Chris, like, motherfucker, that represents me. It pisses me. It has always pissed me off when someone gets up there not at their best. And I'm not saying they have to look like Phil Heath, but if you get up there and have done everything I asked you to, man, I'm going to sleep easy that night. I'm sleeping like a fucking baby. If you get up there and I know in my heart like you didn't look good because you fucking cheated, it kills me on the inside. Because I'm like, where did I mismanage that to allow you to get to that headspace? And then you and I both know it doesn't have to do with us. It's all on them. But to me, I will always try to take some type of ownership. Like, what could I have said? What could I have done? Could I have maybe backed off the gas a little bit? Could I give them a free meal when I really didn't think they needed it, but that would have tied them over? There's all like different scenarios that I play in my brain. And that probably goes back to what I just said of coming down to me wanting it for them more than they do.
Yeah.
There's always a portion of prep that sucks for everyone, even if your plan isn't hard. Because being on a strict plan for weeks on end is relentless.
Oh, yeah.
And some people just can't tolerate that and they don't lean into it, knowing that, hey, in 8 weeks, I'm gonna have a free meal, or in 12 weeks, I'm gonna go have a nice couple days with my family. Nothing's gonna be tracked. I'm not gonna lift weights, I'm not gonna do cardio, it's gonna be enjoyable. And they have a hard time getting to that because 4 weeks seems like an eternity, where you and I both know, like, hey, it's 28 sleeps. 28 sleeps, and I'll be able to enjoy Five Guys and not have any remorse. Because I'll never forget, I had a guy who, man, he cheated like a motherfucker the whole time, and he posted this Chick-fil-A meal with his family afterwards. And he texted me, and I was such a prick. Like, in hindsight, I probably should have handled it a lot better. And I texted him back and said, how can you enjoy that knowing you cheated the whole time? And he was like, man, you really called me out. I was like, damn right. I said, if I were you, my ass would be on a Stairmaster right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the best things is when that's the thing with coaching is like, you're not always there to be my friend, right? That's not what your job is. Your job is to get me in shape for a bodybuilding show. What is so in fucking left field of different, right? Like, yes, we're going to do different things. Yes, no one's going to understand. Yes, you're going to be fucking hungry. Yes, you're going to be stuffed. Yes, you're gonna be sore. Like all of those things are gonna be happening. And that's on like the athlete and the coach, right? It has to work together. Because if you don't understand yes, bodybuilding is getting more popular. We got classic physique, we got other divisions, right? But to get places, I said that, I think I've said that every fucking podcast. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you have to do bodybuilding things, right? There's no fucking way around that.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways you can get better at it, like eating like we have for how long we've been. Like it's not difficult for me to bring food with me and figure that the fuck out.
Nope.
You know, I have zero problem with that. When I first started eating 6 meals a day, I fucking hated it.
Right.
You know, but now it just happens.
Yep.
Time of doing it.
Yep.
And that's where time of doing it is going to be happening, but also realizing what suck are what are making you a bodybuilder, right? You cannot be a bodybuilder without eating a lot of fucking food in the off season.
Yep.
And also starving the fuck in pre-contest, right? Yep. I mean, you can. I mean, tons of people show up out of shape, but that's another fucking story.
Right.
But you have to do bodybuilder things. It's just what it comes down to, and your coach is just guiding you on that path of it's somewhat painful. You know, your body did not just like, I did not wake up and just tell my body like, hey, I want to be 230 and 5'5". Yeah. You know, like that doesn't exist like naturally.
Yep.
Just doesn't.
Right. No.
So you think you're gonna have to do things it's just gonna happen? Like, you know, you're gonna do things that are gonna be uncomfortable. Yep. Your food's gonna be annoying. The weights you're gonna lift are gonna be painful. Yep. You're gonna be sore, but you're doing that for the outcome.
Right.
And the experience of doing it.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's really interesting. So last night I was laying on the couch watching a basketball game, and Angela comes down to eat her last meal because she trained later that night, and then Daxon wanted to put her to bed. So I said, I'll just wait and eat my last meal with you. So she came down, I think it's like 9:54. So she came down and I was going to make our food. So I get in the cabinet to get sourdough bread, and the shit was like hard. And I was like, I could probably still make that work for French toast.
Yeah.
So do that. I put those out on the counter, and then I go to get eggs out of the refrigerator. And she was like, oh shit, like I ate those last 2 eggs this morning that I thought I was going to eat for that meal. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to have French toast for my final meal.
Yeah.
Threw that away and just made a third chicken and a rice meal in olive oil for the final night. So we're just sitting there shooting the shit, and she's like laughing. She's like, you know what's really funny is she said, I know that's the third time you've eaten that, and you not even once blinked or complained. And we always have had an agreement, right? Of like, she'll tolerate all my bullshit with bodybuilding until I start complaining about it.
Yeah.
And to this day, she's never heard me complain about having to do my cardio or train or eat my same food. And it's always that philosophy of like, you know, we choose this. Like,
yeah,
I actively wake up every morning and know that in order for me to be a decent bodybuilder, I'm going to have to do all the shit we just described. And even though I had my mindset, because listen, I think you're like me, like I was looking forward to that damn French toast, right? Mm. That sourdough bread is just so soft and soaks up that egg, tastes so great. You go to bed with like something sweet, and then I have a bunch of egg whites that I heavily salt, so it's like sweet and savory.
Yeah,
but it's not a big deal. Why does it matter? I have one purpose. It's for that meal, I need to get 50 grams of protein. I need to get 75 grams of carbs and 12 grams of fat. Awesome.
Yep. And that's like my favorite part about this is sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to have another one in 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to have a big ass thing of egg whites, oatmeal, and banana.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
You know, it's plenty of times we eat out of a Tupperware going somewhere. It's not amazing.
Right.
But it's like, you don't need to worry about all of it being amazing. Yeah. It is what it is sometimes. You know, it's a lot better than not having food.
Right. Agreed. Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. And then like it comes on there like, oh cool, this is actually kind of nice.
Yeah. Right. Like At the end of the day, I'm eating organic chicken with fresh rice out of a rice cooker, and I have sauce on it.
Yeah.
And I'm eating fancy ass olive oil. Like, dear God. And if I would complain about that, I would expect her to slap me in the fucking mouth and be like, mind yourself in your privilege.
Yeah, right. For real.
But I think that feeds into this damn culture. Like,
yeah,
these are first world problems that, oh my God, you had to do cardio today? Oh, I feel so sorry for you. I'm like, no, I don't.
right. Oh, cardio was so hard. Like,
Right.
over there being, tagging David Goggins, just fucking, you 25 minutes of cardio, tag David Goggins, motherfucker. Like, like, don't even, not even close.
No. So that cardio I did yesterday, Monday with the damn bike and prowler. Dude, I put up the prowler. I'm leaning on my truck bed, trying not to throw up. Like, actively trying not to throw up. So I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna lose that meal. I'm not gonna lose that meal. You're gonna hold it down. You're gonna keep it together, motherfucker. Meanwhile, my neighbor across the street is like, is this dude having a heart attack? Like, what's going on?
Dude, I know it was pretty funny. This was a while ago, but one of the gyms I used to work at, I would I would always have my post workout meal, and then I'd have like another client.
Okay.
And I would train, and I would eat that meal, and I would like just chill there for a second.
Right.
And I think it was like 3 weeks out, and this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Dude, what are you?" He's like, "I know you're getting ready for a contest, but it looks like you're suffering." And I'm like, "Dope, shit's working." And it just went right over his head. I was like, "That's my fucking goal." Like, what it is. Like, yeah, it may be uncomfortable. Like, honestly, I just ate I just ate cream of rice and chicken, or I think it was fish at that point. But I was like, this meal had carbs in it. What are you talking about? That was like the best meal of my day.
Like, yeah, you're damn right.
Camper. Like, what do you mean suffering? I'm like, I was like,
And a bowl of candy.
yeah,
I think you'll appreciate this too. Like, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Anytime a fellow competitor comes up to me and my eyes are sunk in and they ask me how I'm feeling, I purposely, even if I feel like definitely, I'm doing great, man.
yeah,
Or I'll say I'm right where I need to be. That usually is my more go-to, right? Oh man, really? You don't feel like death? I'm right where I need to be. If I
yeah,
didn't, I'd be worried. Like, and just watching their face of like, because listen, I used to work at, as I said, I used to work at a gym. It's almost like those people negatively feed off of each other. Oh, it's so
yeah,
hard. My coach is so mean. Like, then fucking fire him, bro. God forbid your coach is actually doing his job and getting the fat off.
yeah,
Fuck him, right?
yeah. Right. I think that was probably one of my favorite ones. Same thing. But I just got done throwing up. I was just throwing in a garbage can after like a set of leg press. And the kid come up, he's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Exactly what I came here for." And he's just like, "What?" It's like, I don't know. Like, it's like probably one of the weirdest aspects is like, you have like you got to do bodybuilding shit to be a bodybuilder.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're not training fucking hard enough to like make yourself like to change your CNS, right? You got the different levels of that. You got sweating, you got throwing up, you got actual shock,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
You can very much go into those places. You'll be fine.
Right.
You'll calm down. You're not gonna die.
Right. Yep.
I mean, there's also passing out. If you've gotten to that point, like if you have a training partner, you'll be fine. As long as you don't hit yourself on the way down to something.
Right. Yep.
But we're in a controlled environment. You're fine. It's not like we're not in a fighting sport. We're not at war. Like we're in the fucking weight room. We're doing what we're supposed to change our bodies.
I always go back to this too. Like, so when we were at Swiss, I think I'd had a 0 carb day on the travel up there and then 275-gram days back to back of carbs. Not once did you ask me how I felt. Because you'd been there. You knew how I felt.
Yeah.
Instead, it was, how do you look?
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knew what I felt like. Like there's no denying if I walked around and you could see veins running up and down my legs and my arms like look like a damn road map, you know what I fucking feel like.
Mhm.
I feel exactly like I should. Hungry. Like it's as simple as fucking that. Like you don't we don't ask each other emotional questions. I don't give a fuck emotionally. Hey, are you flat today? How's your strength? It's all tangible. How's
Yep.
your strength up or down? How was your pump up or down? Like all things that matter to me. Of course, you're going to be tired. Of course, you're going to be hungry. Of course, your joints are probably going to hurt at some point, or your feet are going to be tired, or fill in the blank.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. Next one here. All right. Let me ask you this. What do you feel like is slow response time? That's definitely a red flag, but in your mind, what is a slow response time?
In my mind, if it's longer than 4 hours, that's slow. That's slow. Um, in like, I mean, that's going to be. It also falls in the line on when people check in.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes it's not on the coach. Like I've seen people, it's like back to my responsibility. It's like you somehow sent your check in at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. It was like your coach was expecting that between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Yes.
Right. And you send it well outside of that time frame.
Yep.
Like I personally, if someone sends me a check-in after 11 p.m.,
Agreed.
I'm not opening it.
Nope.
And that's in their agreement, what they signed on with me, is if you send it past 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, it's not fucking happening.
Right.
Right. So that's already on them. So it's gonna happen the next day.
Yes.
Because that they're just into my time now.
Yeah.
So if in that case, like, oh, I'm an asshole because I checked, he took a data response. It's like, well, actually, you're the asshole, right? But if generally, if someone sends me a check-in in the time they're supposed to give it to me, it's 15 minutes.
Agreed. Yep.
That's with a new written diet change, training split, something that's been updated. If it's nothing needed to be changed, we're good. Let's keep pushing through pretty fast.
Yep.
And then other times it's a feedback time too. It's like, okay, cool. How's your digestion? How are you feeling? How's strength and how's training going? And then response and then go, all the little aspects there. So it's honestly never, for me, that's as fast as it needs to be.
Yep. And my thought process is very similar to what yours is. I cannot imagine waking up, especially inside of 10 weeks out, and not sending my update as soon as I take my photos. And
Yep.
it's for the simple fact of if I need to eat less food that day, if I need to do more cardio that day, or I need to eat more food that day, I want to know so I can get on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it comes down to a matter of desire. Like, if I went my first full like 3 to 6 hours with no cinema update, I'm losing progress in my opinion, or the potential of it. Because there's been multiple times where John or Matt or Shelby would be like, "Hey Chris, add 50 grams of carbs to every one of your meals today." If I'd have waited till my fourth meal, I'd have lost 150 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
And to me, that's going against what they wanted. Or, hey Chris, I need you to do 25 more minutes of cardio today. Well, fuck, I already did my cardio. What do you mean? Well, I sent my check-in 17 hours late. Well, I
Yeah.
better now I'm going to get my ass out of bed and get up and go do 25 minutes of cardio. Or I'm going to tack it on tomorrow morning, which is what sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, what you just described is ridiculous. Like, and I've been guilty of sending fucking check-ins at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I'd rather someone send them early.
Yep.
That's my favorite thing when I wake up and there's already a couple. I'm like, hell, fuck yes.
Yep.
And then that's 100%. I am the happiest camper. That's the best case scenario. It's like, cool. If it's 3 a.m., fuck yeah. That means it's a priority. And it's so easy to see. It's like if you're like on check-in days, Sunday and Wednesday, I kid you not, like the first thing I do, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to take growth hormone. And then I'm going to make my morning concoction of glutamine and lemon juice. I'm going to have 3 sips of that so my mouth isn't dry. I'm going to run back upstairs. I'm going to pose for 2 rounds. And then I'm going to hand the phone to my girlfriend, have her take photos of me, and send them to you and send my update. And the fun thing is, if I know I'm going to be busy Wednesday morning, if I know I'm headed to work at 7, Tuesday night, I'm writing my fucking check-in response.
Yep.
It's not something I'm writing at Wednesday, right? I know for a fucking fact, by the time I eat meal 6 and wake up in the fucking morning, I didn't cheat on my diet.
Nope.
I didn't do a training session. I definitely didn't do any fucking cardio, like other than whatever my girlfriend has in store for me.
Right.
But like, nothing's gonna change between Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So it's like, just do it then.
You plug your weight in and attach your photos.
Yeah, exactly. Hop on a scale. Exactly. Scale, weight, just send. It's a 5-minute process.
Yep. That what you just described would make like people's life so much easier. It just would. But to wrap up, and I'll give you some different perspectives because I've worked with 3 different coaches, right? So my first coach ever was Shelby. His response time, nobody's beating that. He is the best in the industry. I can send him a check-in at 3:30. He's responding to me before I have my shoes on for cardio.
Yeah.
You know what to do. No one's beating his response time. He's ridiculous. And I will always give that man credit for that because he taught me that.
Yeah.
Next for me was Matt Porter. So he was in Vegas. So I gave him more leeway because the time difference. Right.
Yeah. Was he 3 hours behind you then?
Yeah. So yeah, 3. So if I sent it at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 a.m. his time.
Yeah.
So I don't expect him to respond to that until he wakes up.
Yeah. So that's the nice thing between me and you.
Yeah, it works in your favor.
My check-ins at 6:30. It's 8:30 your time.
Yep.
So I'm like, I know he's going to be awake and ready for this.
Correct. Yep. And I'm usually always sitting in front of my computer because I know it's coming. So I gave him more leeway, but normally like he would get it to me before I ate meal 2. So I'd already done my cardio, I'd already eaten meal 1 and showered, and I was ready for my day. So I'm pretty easy. I knew for the most part what he was going to have me. If I were going to add or subtract, I just had a scale with me. So I had to pull rice out. I would pick it the fuck out. If I needed to add food, I'd always have cream of rice, and rice cakes. Always prepared. And then with John, his response time was varied. It might be 10 seconds, 15 seconds. A lot of times he would say, hey, wake up and text me when you send me your update. And I would text him, he'd respond really quick if he knew he'd probably want to make some changes.
Yeah.
Or there'd be times where like maybe he's coaching his boys in the morning for football and he wouldn't be able to get to my update till after the game, which I was fine with. Like,
yeah,
if that was the case, we were game planning the night before, like, hey, get up. I want you to follow this for the first half of the day. Send me your fasted shit and then send me photos in your weight post lift. And by the time you're post lift, I will fully be in front of my computer and looking at your update. So it was always him thinking ahead. And now listen, I also know that I was really fortunate to have 3 of the best ever. So my experience may be a touch jaded where like I've watched Angela get some really shitty coaching, right? Like I've watched the response time be 24 hours or up to a fucking week for some really big name people, right?
Dude, I had a friend, she got done competing. This was Wasatch in 2019.
Okay.
When we did that, we did the same show. I got off stage, obviously, before her. I do bodybuilding. She did women's physique.
Right.
It took her coach a fucking week to get her post-show rebound face sent over to her.
Wow.
So I had mine in my hand before I was fucking at Five Guys.
Yep.
You know? I was like, oh, cool. This is what I'm going to do Sunday morning. Right? Game plan's on. Right? No fucking clue. He didn't even like the lazy route of be like, eat last week's diet.
Right.
Yep. Well, that would have been like nothing. And it's like, how?
Yep. It's mind-boggling to me when I see that normal response time for good coaches is 48 hours. And I'm like, your body, listen, if you sent me your photos and then I didn't respond for 48 hours, I'd need more photos. How am I doing my job accurately? I'm giving advice based upon a 2-day-old physique. And I know that I don't get it. Like, it's that to me is beyond frustrating. If that is your coach, fucking fire them. I don't care if they're giving you a discount. So,
yeah. Or my favorite is the coach who sends out. He's like, sorry about the late check-in. as he sends his response 3 days after the fact. He's like, I'm in prep and things are difficult. Like, I had a buddy send me that screenshot of that, and I was like, end it. Yep. Like, obviously he doesn't give a shit. He can't even pay attention to his prep. This should be fucking mindlessly easy for him.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I've been in prep doing FaceTime check-ins on the treadmill so that I wasn't late planning someone's day.
Yeah.
I'm on a treadmill right now. Fucking, can you FaceTime me? Yeah. Why? I can't type on a computer. Call me. We're going to talk through this together. Easy as that. And I'll record that bitch and come upstairs and put all that on the computer as soon as my cardio and morning routine's over. Like, at least in my brain, my prep does not trump yours.
No.
You come first. What I'm doing is a hobby. You are my work. You are what feeds my family. My shit is a hobby. I don't get paid for bodybuilding. Or not directly, like a pro would, or shit. I don't know what you want to call that. Like,
yeah.
You have to come first because you're my job. I care. I could just say fuck you, like eat a dick. I'm more important. Well, that's a shitty coach. That's someone who is never going to have your best interest at heart. And when you needed them most, they're going to fucking fail you.
Yeah.
I've seen it time and time again. Like one of my good buddies, he was doing the Maryland State. I was up there with him. His coach just ghosted him the whole show day. I coached him the whole show day. The motherfucker looked incredible, and his coach took all the credit for it.
Sounds about right.
I was close to calling him out, but I didn't.
Fun story. So I actually I coached this kid. He was a friend of mine. He came to me, and his coach was horrendous. And he came to me at 5 weeks out from a show. And I took him from a physique, what was 16 weeks out, and brought honestly, a physique was about 4 weeks out to that show.
Right, hell yeah.
But so I felt good about that. But the funniest thing ever, when I actually met with him on the show day, he was like, by the way, I didn't tell my coach I left him, and he still thinks he's coaching me. And I was like, how? What? Like, is this coach? Because he's like, I still sent check-ins to this other guy. I've just been following what you told him. And I was like, amazing. I was like, well, cool. And it was really funny because like it showed up on that kid's Instagram, and he's like, look what we did for this guy. And I was like, this motherfucker. And I was like, and he just like, it was one of those things, just like Instagram clout, right? He stayed with that coach because it was popular. Yep. And it was like, how the fuck did his coach just like, oh, cool, this guy's just progressing out of the blue. You know?
Anytime I have a guy or girl who is with another coach and they switch mid-prep, I always say, you're going to CC me on the email.
That's smart.
One, I don't want bad blood between me and another coach. I don't want that drama.
No need for it.
Don't need it. Don't want it. I don't need money that bad. I'm sorry. And then two, I need to know you are completely severed ties with someone else, because I've had that scenario where I've helped someone to the show and then I see another coach post their progress or post their show day victory. No, that is not cool. I am not going to get into a war because you're a dirtbag and didn't have the fucking balls to tell that coach, I don't work with you anymore. You're shit.
Yeah.
Like, no. So, and listen, I've had multiple coaches who were really high, like, man, I appreciate you having some integrity. Like,
yeah, there's a lost art in this world.
I don't need to steal anyone. No. There are so many fucking competitors out there. I don't need anyone. So if I'm never going to be that dude backstage like, hey man, like, if you came with me, you'd be so much better, right? No. I believe in my service. So you say, hey, can you get me in better shape than this? I'm like, depends on how hard you're going to work. Literally, that's what I'll say to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some guy came up to me, I think I told you this, before USA's, when we did USA's, and he was like, what are your thoughts on switching coaches? And I actually never answered because I was laughing.
Right.
And then I was just like, dude, you have a good one. Yep. And it's just like, why the fuck would I?
No. It's it's ridiculous, like how people try to poach. And Chris Schaub just sent me this this dude. It's like sent a list of how he could make him better if he switched coaches. I'm like, oh, by the way, this evening the dude was even going to throw in drugs too. He's like, I'll give you a Serostim, not Serostim, I'll give you a Pfizer pen of GH and a bottle of test. So he was offering drugs and coaching service. I was like, damn, these dudes are getting smart.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck me. Like, you have to offer to give people free drugs for Christ's sake. Like, you need money that bad? Like, how about you just be a good coach and people will come to there's so many fucking competitors out there. Like, I don't get it. Like the sea of online clients worldwide are endless. Like, just be good at your job and people will find you. I really believe that. And if you treat people right, everyone will know, man, Dave, you got incredible shape and you've grown like a weed. Who did you work with? I work with Chris. Do you like the experience? Fuck yeah, or I'd leave. Cool. It's the biggest walking billboard I could ever have.
Yeah.
It just is. All right. So next one here. To me, this is a red flag. If you're a coach and you only post photos of yourself and you have no clients, I would be terrified.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. If you can't do anything, like it's always comical. It's like you don't obviously doesn't need to be like Olympia level. Like if you have Olympia level, people fucking post them.
Right.
Like I can't tell you how many times it's like people have gotten guns to me for like it's more than just bodybuilding shit, right? I've had people be like, "Hey, I want to look good for this wedding," or "Hey, I want to be in better shape for the summertime." You know, obviously we could. These people are changing their bodies just as much as you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like just throw that up on there.
To me, even that is even more impressive, right? So I just posted that lady Meredith, I think on Monday or Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's a mom of two. She works a full-time job. She has a husband. Like, that to me is more impressive than what you and I do. Like,
oh yeah,
she has no stage calling her name that's like, hey, bro, you have a year before you're gonna get embarrassed again if you don't straighten up.
Yeah.
She just like woke up one day and said, hey, I'm tired of looking like this shit on the left. I want to fix it. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yes. Every day she wakes up and has to do it for herself, no one else. Her kids don't give a fuck. 9 times out of 10, her husband doesn't care. He's gonna love her either way. That's his life, and that is her. That is his.
Dude, those people are so much more fun to work with too, when they actually have that drive. Because like, I bet you money she is a workhorse.
Yes. Yep.
Like has 2 kids, full-time job, husband. It's like, she's working like 70-hour weeks with the kids and stuff. She's like, oh cool, still found time for cardio. Oh cool, still found time to lift. Didn't fuck around on my diet. And then the opposite, like I've seen competitors. It's like, they work a cushy job. They have free time as all fuck. And it's like, oh, I fucked around on my diet and I couldn't train hard and I didn't do any of my cardio because I didn't feel like it. It's like one of those things. It's like, man, I've had a client like tell me that their cardio was too boring. And I was like, and then Jesus Christ, dude, I had another kid who was legitly cooking his meals in his dorm room on a hot plate. And it was like, do you think that kid gives a fuck if his cardio is boring?
Yep.
He doesn't. His dorm room doesn't even have a fucking kitchen. He found a way.
Yep. I'm going to share this fun story with you with Ty. So we go down there a month after he's there for 6 weeks. Yeah. And the dude hasn't lost 0 body fat for wrestling. And it's starting to get close to time to get like certified for weigh-ins. And he's like, Chris, you just don't understand. Like, the food here is straight garbage in the dining hall. There's no good options. I said, okay, cool. I said, fucking maps a Walmart or a Target, or because the grocery store that's in town there is like not a good grocery store. It's just not.
Yeah.
I need like a Walmart or something big. So we found a Walmart. It's like 25 minutes away. Like, cool. We went to the store. I got him sleeves of rice cakes, the minute rice, like in those little packs.
Yeah.
A bunch of organic canned chicken, the hard-boiled eggs that were already made, oatmeal, almond butter, water, Gatorade Zero, salt, pepper, 3 different sauces, frozen vegetables, because all he has is a mini fridge, right? And a microwave. He literally lost 25 pounds over the course of 3 months eating all non-perishable foods. I'm not saying everyone has that intelligence or ability to know how to go do that.
Yeah.
But we made it work. Right. And it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't what he was used to eating when he lived at home with us. But listen, he's 4 hours away. I can't. I mean, I guess I could have shipped him MegaFit meals, but we're not going to do that. Like, so. Oh, I forgot. We got tuna. The bags of tuna. What else was it? I feel like I did. It was like a whole just like grocery cart full of just food we could stockpile in his dorm room, and he could just eat because he had a food scale and just measure that shit.
Yeah.
Bag of almonds. Like, it was all just fucking easy shit. And he would tell me, he's like, it wasn't easy eating all that all the time. It's not like being at home. I'm like, nope, but you're a Division I wrestler and you have to make weight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, is your goal outlet, outweigh your discomfort. I think that's where you get like the best clients are the ones where, like we talked about earlier, like their meal's not always going to be amazing. Just get it in, move on to the next one. Like, it comes down to that too. Like, when I moved into my girlfriend's house, I didn't have, she has a treadmill, and then one of her pipes broke in the upstairs bathroom. So this whole downstairs got remodeled.
Oh, right.
Her treadmill is covered in fucking construction equipment. So it's like, cool, that's easy. I'll go fucking walk outside. Like, not an excuse to just like, oh, I don't have a treadmill, I can't do it. It's like, I have a perfectly good sidewalk outside. It's not going to change a thing. No. Other than a little bit of comfort.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be pretty fucking cold here in January in Utah, but you know what? It's fine. So why people buy cold plunges anyways?
Right. Cold exposure that way.
Yeah. But like, just the finding things will work and or discussing that with your coach. Right? If you don't know how things work, fucking ask. Be like, hey, I don't have a fridge. I don't have a fucking cooktop in my dorm. It's like, oh, cool. Let's get non-perishable chicken.
Yes.
Or, those packs of tuna are the most convenient thing on the planet.
Right.
Like, and then, like you said, rice cakes. Those bags of Uncle Ben's are honestly amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
listen, it's not perfect, but it's better than what he had access to. Like a lunch there, because their dining hall is getting remodeled. So he sent me a picture. It's like the lunch was like a foot-long hot dog and French fries. In no way is that going to work. It's just not.
Funny.
So
that's funny.
He goes back to his dorm. He cracks 2 cans of chicken. He puts it over a minute rice, puts some olive oil on it, some sugar-free barbecue sauce. Done. Meal down the hatch. Goes to the dining hall, gets some fruit, and punches his ticket. Has a couple apples, bananas, stockpiles that shit in his dorm room for when we need to carb up. It's as simple as fucking that.
I would steal all of that fruit.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. And if they ever brought like some kind of lean protein, I'd just take all of it.
Oh yeah, agreed. And I mean, it's really easy to have. I just shipped them a shitload of whey protein isolate.
Yeah,
you could have that 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, that and just canned foods. Yep. Super easy. And then if he has a mini fridge, I mean, he can still put like some food in there.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly right. I mean, it's just it's as you said, it's how bad do you want this shit?
Yeah.
All right, next one. Listen, I don't think we got to talk on this. If your coach asks for fucking nudes, fire them. Male or female. I don't know many males that are sending nude photos, or want them.
Yeah. The only thing you need to check in is what you're going to be wearing on stage.
Correct. Nothing
less. I mean, if you probably don't need more, but if like you're just a regular person, like just checking them in your swimsuit.
Yeah.
Not difficult.
Listen, I've had women who don't really feel comfortable, so they'll wear like compression shorts and a sports bra.
Yeah,
I'm 100% good with that. Just keep the exact same sports bra and keep the same pair of shorts. And
same lighting.
It's the same shit. All I need to do is see if we're progressing. Yeah. I don't need to see anything that the judges wouldn't see. And if they try to tell you they need to see your labia for how much fat it's holding, literally fire them.
Right. That's an instant just gone.
Oh my God. Trust me. They're dirt bags. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. That's
No.
just a straight blanket statement there. All right, here's one. If your coach only knows how to just take your drugs up and that's how they get progress,
Right.
oh, it's not the answer.
Yeah, not at all.
To me, that stems
Yeah.
with laziness. That's laziness, right? Because if you aren't growing, and I say to you, Dave, are you eating every one of your meals? And I know that's not an issue. Okay, where's the next two things it's got to stem from? It's either got to be rest or training. And if you aren't willing to ask for training footage of your work sets to assess the intensity and the form, which is time consuming, I get that. Because I'll be at that prick that's like, hey, your triceps aren't growing. Send me every work set of triceps and I'll review every second of it. So there's a reason. And if I can solve it over the course of 6 to 8, maybe 9 videos, I'd rather do that than just be like, up your trend, bro. Take your test 1,500.
Yeah. Well, it's actually kind of comical to me because sometimes it's like I'll be that prick and be like, hey, send me training photos of this. And then they forget about it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Well, we answered that question.
Yeah. Real quick.
Sorry, my camera's broken. It was like, sure shit it is.
Yeah. It's like that instantly turns into a scenario of like, I've watched a lot of that shit with Angela, like this catfishing, where it's like, I can't FaceTime you. I'm sorry, my camera's broke. No, you're a fucking dude in India.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So to me, like again, that just stems from laziness because you don't want to dig your heels in and figure problems out. Because as we've discussed plenty times on this channel, like high drug doses can mask problems. And that can, whether it be you miss meals or you don't train hard enough or you aren't resting or recovering enough. And to me, this is never the answer. Like, naturally, you're going to have to raise drug levels at some point as you progress up the hierarchy of bodybuilding. Well, I'm not an idiot. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, like if you're just lazy, because it's easier to say, take your test from 900 to 1,000. Like that's easy. It takes me no effort and you minimal effort. Where if we dug our heels in and said, okay, like maybe you aren't digesting chicken well, or you aren't processing the connection between what failure looks like and feels like on a muscle.
Yep.
Those two things are way harder to determine. Or you're like, hey Dave, I need you to get to bed 2 hours earlier this week. That's harder to get a client to do than just ram 100 mgs extra of test.
Yeah. Managing all the other aspects, like what would Natty Dave do, right? Food, sleep, training. Those are best aspects you can change.
Yes.
And the fuck, why do I have balloons? Did you see that?
Yeah, dude.
All right, whatever.
But that was great.
Like I was saying, and if you don't know how to manage those, like if you're like, okay, cool, I'm not progressing, but I only sleep 4 hours a night, and you're like, well, what can we do for sleep? They're like, no, I can't. They're like, they'll fucking dig their heels in the ground. It's like, no, I can't get more sleep. It's like, can you take a nap? And they're like, no, I can't take naps. It's like, well, we're gonna have to figure something the fuck out because like this isn't a matter of adding in more growth hormone. This is a matter of like you're not fucking sleeping.
Right.
You know, and then back to preps. Like if the only way your coach knows how to get you in shape is less food, more cardio, and more drugs, like I could get my fucking cat in shape with that combo.
Yep.
Right? Is it gonna have a desirable outcome for the next step? No. What happens when the show's over? What happens when you want to progress after that? And you've been taking 100 milligrams of T3 and 140 micrograms of Clen, right? It's like, well, what do we do from here? You know? Oh, and then they don't tell you about your rebound phase, right? So you're just like, I don't fucking know what the drugs. You stop taking both of them. And then they're like, why are you up 40 pounds? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah. Right? And so when it comes to this, like, if you only have that one mindset, like, oh, more drugs is how you prep. It's like, well, people are definitely doing this with less and getting better outcomes.
And by the way, your body's not as stressed and it looks cleaner.
Yeah.
Listen,
And I will say this from the get-go. If you need DNP to bodybuild, you suck at life.
Agreed.
Right? It's like saying you need trend to grow muscle. It's like if you can't grow without steroids, you don't know how to use them.
Right.
Right? It's the same thing. If you don't know how to diet without, why are you using them? Right? If the only way you know how to diet is more drugs, like there are natural bodybuilders who are peeled out of their minds.
Yep.
And they've never touched the thing. It's like, how does that work? Figure out how that works, roll those cards, and then add shit. That's how bodybuilding gets fun. Yep. It's not just, oh, he trains mediocre, he eats mediocre, but he takes a gram of test.
Right.
And that's not how someone gets big. It's because they train really fucking good, they eat really fucking good, and they do those two things for years, and then they add in supplements, what just feeds into those other things.
Yep.
It's not feeding into the drugs. It's the drugs feeding into what you're already doing.
Agreed. Yep. I had a guy ask me once, he's like, why don't you use DNP, man? Like with me, not with me personally, but he wanted me to use DNP with him. And I said, I think I'd rather just diet you for 5 more weeks or diet harder for 2 more weeks. I'm like, why would I intentionally poison you and you're going to feel like death? I don't get it. I said, explain that ratio of like benefit reward versus like detriment. And he couldn't. And I said, okay, that you just answered that. It's like, if you want someone to put you in DNP, I am not the man. I will refund your money right this minute. Right. And he took the refund.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he took the refund. Literally, I followed his shit and he looked like hot garbage on stage.
Well, I always like pointing out the mechanism of action, right? So it's like this. So this is a mitochondria uncoupler, right? Your mitochondria, we learned this in school, powerhouse of the cell. If that doesn't fucking work, right? You get all of your energy for all of your movement, right, through the mitochondria. So that powerhouse is now fucking broken, and its power output is power going in versus power going out is comically low. Yeah. The one thing that holds our muscle tissue in during prep is how we train. So now your ability to train just went in the fucking garbage.
Yep.
What do you think your body's going to look like if your training goes to shit?
Yep.
And I've had 3 times that's come up, and those 3 times they both were like, they were all, yep, that makes sense. We're not using that. Everything else, right? When you add Clen, it makes your heart beat faster, burn more calories. It's not going to digress from training, right? You take T3, you're stimulating you're adding more metabolism to your body. It can take away from training if food's too low, but it's not going to directly fuck up training. Like you're legitimately tying an anchor to yourself with DNP and tossing yourself out of a boat and be like, swim. That's how training is going to feel. And if you want to manage that alongside low food, be my guest. But it's not going to work.
A very similar reason why I've never used Letro with you.
Yeah.
That equation doesn't work to me. So you're going to purposely take a supplement that makes you feel like death. That makes you not want to get off the couch. Awesome. Good luck training hard. Good luck doing intensity with your cardio, like even getting motivation to your cardio. Like, why? Because it might make you a little drier. How about we just get a little bit leaner? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Right.
We have never heard, Dave, you were not dry enough on stage.
Yeah. Well, other than from one very stupid coach, but who told me I was not dry enough, but obviously didn't know what he was talking about.
Right. Yeah. All right. We've been gone. I think we've been going for like an hour and 30, maybe. You have any others, or you think we're good?
I think that's about it.
Listen, there's tons of other probably red flags that him and I, I'm sure, left off. At the end of the day, here's what I say, and I'll stay with this until I die. Every coach on the planet will fuck up and make a mistake. I have. I'm sure you have. And when I say make a mistake, I mean just make the wrong call. Maybe I give you more carbs than I should. Maybe I didn't start your diet soon enough. Maybe I started your diet too soon. Maybe I didn't manage your mind or the thought process, or maybe I didn't understand your psychology enough to say, hey, like, even though I didn't think you needed a cheat meal, it would have worked to our favor to give you a night off. Because I think at the end of the day, we've all made those types of mistakes. And I'll be the first one to say, hey, like, maybe next time we do this. in hindsight, maybe we should have done fill in the blank. A good coach will own up to those issues, embrace them, and have a game plan for next time. None of us are perfect. There'll be times where maybe your phone the battery dies. Maybe. I very rarely miss check-ins. I think I've maybe done it a handful of times in 15 years of doing this online. But at the end of the day, as long as your coach cares about your progress and 99% of the time puts you first, you have a good one. Hold on to them. This coach jumping bullshit that people do, there's a reason you never get better. It's because you could work with 6 great coaches, but if you never give one of those 6 an opportunity to learn your body, they're not going to be able to give you the best service. That's one of the reasons you and I work well together is I know I've seen your body evolve. I can't predict it, but I have a damn good feeling what it's going to do.
Yep.
Pretty easy. So if you're out there, be loyal or don't. Find a coach that works for you and your personality. Ride that wave until you feel like you've rode that relationship to the end. And then it's time to like figure out like, and it's never a bad thing to go to your coach and be like, hey, Chris, like, I really need this, this, and this from you. Can you give that to me? Yes, let's do it. Or on the flip side of that, I can't do that. I suggest you go to this person for that. Because listen, there's problems you can come to me with that I'm not equipped to handle.
Yeah.
So let's say someone really close to you died, and you're like, Chris, I really need some counseling. That ain't on me, bro. I don't know how to do that.
I'm the worst possible decision for that.
Right.
Like, that's why I'm so good at tricep push down. Just bury it. Like,
right. You have a serious health issue. Please go see a doctor. I'm not going to solve that problem.
Yeah, no joke.
Like, go see someone that deals with this every fucking day, and then we can work together.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like my fucking quad. I was like, I'll tell you about it, but I don't expect you to be like, hey, take this, do that. Be like, this is out of my realm. I'm like, fuck.
Right.
And then what I deal with that is like what feedback I'm going to give to you. You know, it's like, okay, the doctor said do this.
Right.
Or or this is what's going to happen. You know, and we'll work from there. It's not just like, oh, cool, this is happening. Now you fix it because you're my coach. It's like, nope. Like, you need probably another medical professional for this.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Or if someone asks me like relationship advice, all that backs me into a really fucking bad corner. And when I always will say, well, if that was me, this is what I would do. I'm not telling you to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've had so many young guys come to me like, Chris, my girlfriend, fiance, wife hates that I bodybuild. What would you do? See ya.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
It literally happened to me in college. Girl didn't like that I was bodybuilding, shave my legs. Sorry, there's plenty of women out here who are going to be chill with it.
Yeah.
Had to find the right one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if that's a weird relationship comment, but like in reality, like if you're gonna be with someone, they probably should like you.
Correct.
Like, I mean, pretty fucking interesting concept. You know, like, oh, they don't like a giant part of my life. All right, cool. Like, why are we here?
Yeah. Or, this is a great one. I'm sure you've experienced this. I haven't told my girlfriend, wife, fiance that I do steroids. I've been sneaking on her back for years. How do you think she's going to handle that? She's going to call you a fucking liar. Yeah. She's never going to trust you.
No. Just tell her, you know.
Either A, you're not big enough, because she'll know. That's always my thought process, right? At this point, like, oh, if you question I'm on drugs, like literally you aren't intelligent. I'm not big enough if you're thinking that. Two, like, don't be deceitful. Especially don't lie about it. Like, oh, like nothing gets on my like way to ruin a relationship. Awesome. Because you can't tell about the supplements you take. If you accidentally slip inside some other girl's vagina, like you're not going to tell her about that either, right? Fuck. Yeah.
But
listen, okay, we aren't counselors. We aren't doctors. We don't pretend to be. We know how to get you in really good shape and put a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
We have a lot of weird. a lot of weird skill set in between those lines.
Yeah. Yeah. If it falls in between lifting weights, getting bigger or leaner, we've done it.
Right.
If you have a neurochemistry problem and you have like clinical depression, I'm not going to be able to help you.
No.
Like I can help you. Like I'll be like, well, training's a great antidepressant. That's about as far as I can go down that rabbit hole. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not one of these health coaches. Well, nowadays some fucking how we have coaches these days. They'll be like, oh, I know how to solve all problems.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they're these like fucking life coaches on top of this. And it's like that. Like get those the fuck out of here because you don't.
And that's a really tough concept because I see it all the time. Like giving, they're like, oh, I'm a nutritionist. I'm a holistic medicine. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a massage therapist. Great. You do a bunch of shit mediocre. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Right. Like you just do. I have pigeonholed myself into a really small circle. And that's why I always say, like, I'm not very intelligent as a whole, but I'm really smart at this section.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. If it comes to these things I like, I've probably done more research and more like studying of that concept than most people have done with anything, but in very, very few items. You know,
Yeah.
there is zero way I could have studied that much stuff with the whole realm of things.
Yes. Yep. Right. I know bodybuilding, I know nutrition, and then I feel like I can speak intelligently on mindset of doing hard shit because I think that it's crossover and you can apply it to different avenues in life.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, like, I don't think I'm a great parent, but I have parenting experience.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm a pretty damn good spouse, but I'm not going to give you a marital advice. I can say, hey, when I fuck up, this is what I do. Or, hey, this is how Angela and I have been successful. Like, I'm not saying over here, like, come to me with your marriage problems. I'll counsel you and your wife. And no, fuck that.
Get out of here with that.
Right. Fuck. All right, guys. Bad coaches, if you have one, fire them. And if you have a good one, hold on to them like grim death because they're few and far between these days. It's just the truth. So until next time, little Dave, Chris Edmonds, we are done.